Welcome to the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast, the show where real estate investors talk strategy, capital, deals, and growth with your host, Dave Dubeau.
Hey folks, welcome back. Now, everybody has an interesting backstory, but some people have a little bit more interesting backstories than others. And that's the case today. Our guest zooming in from Philadelphia is Kayr Robinson. And Kevin's got a very interesting backstory. He kind of grew up on a rough part of town, overcame that. He was one of those smart guys that got accepted into some pretty prestigious business schools, went from that into some pretty prestigious financial type jobs. Then I think, and I'll get him to fill in the blanks, but I think he kind of realized corporate wasn't for him, got into real estate investing, small deals, worked up into big deals, worked up into financial freedom. So that's giving him the ability to really live life on his own terms, which is all about helping people, inspiring people, motivating people. And we'll be talking about his new best-selling book for a little while as well. So, Kayr, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
I'm so excited to be on the platform. Thank you for having me on. I look forward to having this conversation.
Yes, likewise. So let's start with the real estate side of things, because that's the show, Property Profits Real Estate Podcast. What do you invest in? What does the portfolio currently consist of as of the middle of 2026?
So I started investing in 2009 with single families. So I started with single families, had one unit in 2009. By 2018, I got to 9 rental units. By 2019, I got to 35 rental units. So I tripled my portfolio. And then by 2020, I got to 105. So during the pandemic, I bought 70 rental units in total. But that was the point where I really started buying big apartment buildings. So from 2009 to 2018, it was single families.
Yeah.
Then in 2019, I started buying apartment buildings. I bought a 6-unit apartment building, a 12-unit apartment building, a 5-unit apartment building, and a triplex. And that was in 2019. Then in 2020, I bought a 24-unit apartment building, a 12-unit apartment building, a 14-unit apartment building with a restaurant, a 6-unit apartment building, a 9-unit apartment building, and also 6 single families. And so my portfolio is primarily focused on value add. I buy properties. They may have a high vacancy when I get there, and they actually have been undermanaged. So I bring in professional management. I renovate the units, and I'm a buy and hold investor. So I've never sold any of my properties. I pretty much fix them up, increase the occupancy, and then do a cash out refi and use that money to buy more properties.
The famous Burr method. That's what you do.
Yes, that's pretty much what I was going before they even start calling it in. This is my 17th year.
So where are these properties? Are they primarily in Philadelphia as well?
So they're primarily in the Philadelphia area and in Harrisburg.
Which is close to Philadelphia?
Yes, it's about 2 hours away from Philly. Yep.
Okay, very good. So everything's kind of in-house. So now that you've built up a significant portfolio, how does management work?
So the way I started when I first got into the business 17 years ago, I had said, hey, I can hire someone else to manage the property, or I can learn the business from A to Z. And so I said, if I only had one property, about one property on average per year for the first 9 years, I said, I'm going to give away 10% of my money. I'm not even making that much money. So therefore, I forced myself to learn the business. And so now I built KR2 Property Management, where we manage my properties and also properties for other people's. So I started hiring family members and also some friends and other professionals. And we do a lot of subcontractors, like 1099 them do various things. But that primarily is the case when we use like an app like Buildium and things of that nature and a law firm. So you put together a team, because what I learned working on Wall Street was that processes and systems really matter.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. So the skill set that you learned in business and on Wall Street, what parts of that have really served you well in real estate investing?
So when I was working at the hedge fund, I covered U.S. home builders, UK home builders, European financials, and U.S. financials. And I knew how to analyze things from a macro level, and also when they're these multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies. Now, what happened is what I did is I took the best practices, how to do macro analysis, where you analyze the entire market, then an individual state, and then micro analysis, where you pretty much, all right, we're going to zero down to 3 zip codes. We're going to pay attention to amenities. We're going to pay attention to trends using the economic models. And so I was able to take all that corporate learning from business school and working on Wall Street and marry that with street smarts and entrepreneurship, that ruggedness and that experience I had as a tenant. Before I turned 18, I moved 18 times. So I took all that and married it together. So that's how I achieved what I achieved today.
Okay, so that lived experience as a tenant, how does that extrapolate to what you do as a landlord and as an owner?
So what was great about that, because we moved so much, I got to see different parts of the city. And so I had a good insight to different parts of the city and also different types of layouts, whether it was apartments or houses. I also learned people skills too, because you're interacting, you're constantly changing. You can't control your environment, but you can control how you respond. And so I realized how landlords were treating people. So I had the tenant mindset and also the landlord mindset. And so what we do at K2 Management is we provide the tenants with a champagne experience and they pay liquor prices. So we under promise and we over deliver.
I love that. Champagne experience and liquor prices. Oh, that's wonderful.
Hey there, if you're a capital raiser, a syndicator, or a fund manager, and you're looking for a steady flow of incoming accredited investor leads, then go ahead, grab a free copy of my new book, How to Get 20 Accredited Investor Meetings Every Month Without Cold Calling, Networking, or Chasing People. You can get that at 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com. Again, that's the number 20accreditedinvestorsbook.com.
So, Kayr, that is really, really cool. So was I kind of on target there where I said, you worked really hard to get into business school and then to get into Wall Street. What was it that made you decide to leave that, which I think a lot of people would say, hey, he had it made. Why would he leave that and start dealing with being a landlord and whatnot?
It goes back to when we were living, and I talk about this in my book, Can't Break Me. It goes back to when we lived in that studio apartment in North Philadelphia, where we had a hot plate, no stove. We had a bathroom sheet, no bathroom door. We had a bathtub, no shower, and 15 people competing for space with rats and roaches and flies. And I remember living in those conditions because my siblings, some of them got pregnant as teenagers, 14, 15, 16, back to back. My stepdad said, don't be an F up like me. Don't do as I do as I say. So he knew how to get out, but he couldn't apply himself. And so I wanted to set up a business, what I call transformational wealth, where I can transform my family members and loved ones' lives. So I went really hard on becoming really, really successful so I can create a business where I can hire a brother who has a high school diploma, tell him get a real estate license. We do $1 million deal. He gets a 3% commission. Now he got $30,000. He and his wife and 6 children were able to buy a nice house in the school district outside in the suburbs of Philly, hire my in-laws, my brother-in-laws, and they're able to stop renting. Now they own a duplex, hire my aunt to do property management stuff, hire my nephew. So I'm able to not only give them jobs, 1099, it's not full time, but they can have their other supplement their lifestyle. So I can transform their lives today. What I call is the East to West concept versus generational wealth, which is 40 years down the line. I said, no, these people need something today. So I always thought about that financial freedom so I can control what my ability to decide what I want to do day in, day out, build something that outlives me, change the family's trajectory. So that was always my focus, even going into Wall Street.
Very nice. Well, I love that. I love the fact that you're not, everybody talks about building a legacy, and that's great, but you're talking about helping them today.
Yes,
creating businesses that help people today, transform their lives today, give them that financial education. So teach them how to fish versus giving them fish 40, 50 years from now.
Yes, right? Yes. Because I always tell people I'm going to come home and smile in their face and say, you're in the will. When I die in 40 years, I'll take care of you. But then I have like a niece and she has multiple children. And I'm like, you can do cleaning. I meet people where they are. Yeah. I don't make you go get a degree or an Ivy League. No, I know if you clean like 10 apartments, that could fundamentally change your life. Because in Philadelphia, the minimum wage is $7.25. So if you're getting paid double or triple that, and you're doing multiple apartments for a weekend, your life can tremendously change today, not 50 years from now.
Yeah, that is wonderful. So it sounds like you've been motivated by this desire to help your own family get ahead. When did that kind of turn into writing books and consulting and speaking and helping motivate others?
So it all started with, at first I said, I got to take care of home, because it's one thing I'm out there in the streets giving these good talks, but my whole family, they're struggling. So I said, how can I first make sure that my personal circle is doing well? Some will be knuckleheads. I'm not going to hire them. But the ones that do want to become something, I'm going to give them a chance, at least give them a second chance. America's greatest strength is the idea of a second chance. So I said, I'm going to do that, get my home life together, make sure I'm good. And now I want to go out to the world and hire people that come from various backgrounds, white, black, whatever, under-resourced, and give them an opportunity and give them a blueprint for how I was able to not just achieve this, but what did I do to get here? And so I wanted to give people a blueprint. So that's why I started talking like at Yale University or Dartmouth College or Morehouse College or Spelman, is because I want my message to get out there. I don't want to be selfish. I want to give people something that is tangible. We're not talking about theory. Talking about how can you really help people get to the next level by first starting to help yourself.
So your real estate business or businesses, as it were, what does that kind of look like? You talked about, you've got the property management company. So how many people are you currently employing right now, Kayr?
So I have a bunch of LLCs. As you know, that's how you spread your risk. So I have a bunch of LLCs. I have a bunch, maybe like the core 1099 people, maybe like 5 or what have you, that always work on a regular basis. And then we have a bunch of subcontractors. So it can get up to like 30 people at a time, because you're probably renovating like 5 apartments or 4 apartments. You got a crew over here, a crew over there. You have a landscaping crew. You have a cleaning crew. So you have a bunch of day laborers. It can get really, really interesting real fast, but at least you don't need them every single day.
Right. So when it comes to your real estate business, sounds like things are chugging along really nicely for you. You went from doing single family homes into smaller multifamilies and now into larger multifamilies. You've done the BRRRR method quite a bit. Are all of your deals self-financed that way, or have you brought on partners, or what is
so that? I didn't get partners until 2020. So the first 11 years, what I did is I lived off my 9-to-5 job. So that would pay for my bills, vacation, everything. And then all of the rental properties, I was able to benefit 4 ways. One is the cash flow. So I was taking advantage of that, putting it into a bank account. Then you
not touching it, not living on that.
Don't even touch it. Yep, build the reserve. The other thing you're going to benefit is from the debt pay down. So you're building up equity in the property, and also appreciation, forced appreciation and natural appreciation. So, and then the last thing is the tax benefits. So what happened is So by year 10, I have a large cash reserve. I have a lot of equity that now I can start borrowing against that and start buying apartment buildings because you need a larger down payment when I want to have 100% of the ownership for a building. And then 2020, I was waiting for that period to happen. And then that's where I came and hit a wall where you're like, all right, now I can take on some partners because I want to do something even bigger than what I initially thought. So that's how it evolved over time.
So it sounds like the portfolio is going really well right now, providing you and some of your family members with a
and friends. Yep.
And friends. Are you expanding? Are you growing that? Or are you kind of keeping it where it's at right now? Where do you see things going?
So what we want to do is at this point is because I actually have been growing pretty fast. What you want to do is make sure you're monetizing all the assets, make sure that your systems are in place, make sure that your team understands the best practices. So therefore, that frees me up to do a lot of more interesting things, whether writing books or going on doing on a speaking tour or consulting in many respects. So what we're doing, we're optimistic buyers. So if someone call me, they're about to, it's like the old saying, if it's something wrong in the neighborhood, who you going to call? They will call the Ghostbusters, but if something wrong, call Kayr. Because we will be able to help you. If you're like going through a divorce or you think you're about to lose your house, we'll try to think of some creative way to come and get the asset because we love to buy at a discount. So we're opportunistic when it comes to buying, but we're really focused on, make sure that we're starting to integrate AI into our systems, make sure that we have the latest technology, that we're aligned and that every asset is being monetized. Because sometimes you can do empire building and you're not really sitting down looking at the individual numbers of profitability of each property and also the productivity of each employee, whether they're subcontractors or not.
Yeah. That's where that business school thinking comes in real handy, I think.
Yes.
Very cool, Kayr. So we were talking a little bit offline. You got a new book out. I think it's on a bestseller list here and
Yes.
there. Tell us a little bit about that. And let's see the cover if you have it handy.
So I'm super excited about my book, Can't Break Me. So it pretty much lays out my entire story from going from a negative net worth to becoming a multimillionaire, giving back to the community, hiring family members and friends, and providing a template, a blueprint for how you can live a disciplined life. Because I think real outcomes are determined by your decisions and structure. So it outlines my story going from survival to structure to stability, financially and mentally and emotionally. And it's no fluff. And so in the book, people really get to know how I dealt with being vulnerable, being resourceful, how to figure out my own identity, how to deal with grief. So I named the book Can't Break Me because throughout my life, I had to deal with stuff. So when I got a full scholarship to go to Bowdoin College, my brother, 1 year younger than me, he got sentenced to prison for 12 to 20 years for attempted murder. So he went to prison and I went there. When I was at an internship, I was doing really well, got a full-time internship, called my mother. I was about to go to Wall Street, finish my senior year at Bowdoin. And my mother called and said, I talked to my mother and she said, your sister was murdered by the father of her children, shot in the face 5 times. So I tell people, you have to remain unbreakable. So the book lays that out in a very detailed, thoughtful way that you can take some of these lessons that I learned. And the way you can reach it is you can go to my website, kayrmotivates.com, kayrmotivates.com. And I am Kayr Motivates across social media.
Fantastic, Kayr. Well, thank you very much for being on the show and sharing your story. This has been great.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear this and hear how I was going to impact so many people's lives.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Property Profits Podcast. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, apply at daveinterviewyou.com.